Teleprompter. She's like licking her lips. What the? I think what happens.
Okay. So I don't take lightly the call. Sorry, guys. I'm a little nervous. I'm a little nervous, guys. I've been waiting for this moment this whole life. My whole life. I need patience over here.
I'm unable to think on my own.
Where are you, girl? I need patience over here.
You notice how when someone has nothing to say, they say the same nothing thing 3 times in a row? Patience.
Hold on. How you guys doing tonight?
Hold on. How you guys doing today?
How you guys doing tonight?
That's 2.
Are we ready to make history?
That's pretty much 3.
Are we ready to make history?
That's definitely twice.
Are we ready to change these 4 years? No. Are we ready to change the next 8 years? Because we're going to make sure we have Kamala Harris in office for 8 years.
There you go. Now you got your phone.
Thank you.
Now I can go back to being a semi-functional human being. You all understand what just happened there. Just making sure I'm on my good mic. Let me see who tweeted this out. This was AKA Face Hot, who tweeted. Whatever. Her teleprompter went dead, allegedly. I wasn't able to independently verify, but that's not something that's sufficiently serious that if I'm wrong on, I should be ashamed of myself. Her teleprompter clearly went out, and she doesn't know what to say because she doesn't have a thinking bone in her body. She doesn't have a thinking fold in her smooth brain, and she just goes into full meltdown mode. How do I get the audio back on this? Hold on. I got a joke, by the way.
1 second, guys. 1 second.
Yeah, fix that teleprompter. Someone's going to get killed after this show. Licking her teeth. Take off the gloves. You know, I made a joke. Maybe she should have just read the lyrics from her song WAP, which if some of you didn't know, when I first heard the title to that song, because I had never heard the song, and I heard it was called WAP, I thought it was, I'm not trying to be funny, I thought it was a joke poking fun at the term for Italians without papers. I thought that's what WAP was when I first heard that there was a song called WAP. I didn't realize what that stood for. And I'll tell you what it stands for. It stands for wet. And then there's another letter in there that I won't say. I could say ass. And then I guess the P I can say if I'm talking about pussycats. And I said as a joke, hey, Cardi B, at the very least, when you're having a brain fart, a smooth brain fart, why don't you just go and recite your lyrics from WAP? Back in the day, I was tinkering with, my niche on the interwebs, and I had a great idea that I didn't realize wasn't original, that I was going to read the most insanely idiotic, disgusting lyrics in a British accent, a David Attenborough British accent, to make them sound much more intellectual. You see, if you read anything in a British accent, it could sound much better. Even wet blank blank lyrics. Hose in the house. There's some hose in this house. I said, Cardi, just recite your lyrics. Delight the crowd. Now that you've endorsed Kamala Harris, delight the crowd with your wisdom, with your Bob Dylan poetry, with your Leonard Cohen poetry. Started re-listening to Fish. Those lyrics don't make a lick of sense, but forget that. Cardi B, poetry of the modern era. Whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. Hold up. I said certified freak 7 days a week, wet ass, make the, and I'm not even going to read this. There's some words that I wouldn't be able to read because I'd get canceled. By the way, I was on a radio this morning, did a show up in Canada, interview at 10 o'clock. And I said, do you want to just compare? Yeah. On the right, you got Kid Rock and you've got some rappers. And so it's equivalent, right? It's not equivalent. Just read these lyrics. And this is the role model for the Democrat Party, for Democrat show. These are the people you should listen to. LeBron James, who, if you want to be wrong more often than right, you will just follow what LeBron James says. Yeah, you effing with some wet WAP. Bring a bucket and a mop for this WAP. Give me everything you got for this WAP. Beat it up, can't read that word. Catch a charge, extra large and extra hard. Put this in your face. Swipe your nose like a credit card. I want to believe that we haven't reached full idiocracy, but I believe we have. People, sorry, good afternoon. I didn't get to go live yesterday. I was exceedingly tired yesterday. And I think it's because I ate lunch. And I'm not used to eating lunch. And I ate lunch and it was noodles, like, what are those noodles called? When you get them in a bowl, the Asian noodles. Not pad thai. For goodness sake, they come, whatever. I had noodles and then I was tired. But I think also my knee has been killing me and I'm in constant pain. And I think that's mildly fatiguing. That and I bit the inside of my lip. Then I bit my tongue because I was eating in a way to not bite my lip. So between my knee, my mouth, and what's going on in the world, I am in constant agony. So I didn't get to go live yet, but I did the unusual suspects and it was great. Ramen noodles. Viva Bunny, thank you. It's ramen noodles as I was looking for. But oh, there it goes again. I had a good one. It had a raw egg in it. It was actually right by the studio for Valuetainment, and it was very, very good. You try to convince an 8-year-old that ramen noodles are good. Anything looks a little funky for a kid, they're not going to eat it. It could be the most delicious. It could be New York cheesecake in the shape of ramen noodles. They're not the noodles you kind of like, but in the shape of an egg. They won't touch it. So Red Rooster says the story isn't funny. It's domestic. We're going to get to this because I woke up relatively in a good mood, and Chet, I'm not blaming Chet, my man on the inside from Canada. He sends me a link to Twitter, and then I immediately have been very angry all day. Disappointed, I should say disappointed. Went to the beach, and now we're sitting there trying to look for shells, and all I'm thinking about is there's someone who's in a world of hurt right now, and some jackasses, like I see on the internet, make fun of it. No, it's just a squirrel. We're going to get to this. This peanut story isn't funny. It's domestic terrorism via the United States government, and it's disgusting. We're going to get to it. So all that to say is I set this stream up and I was a little distracted and I didn't give it an advance time. So share the link around and let everybody know that we're live. We're going to talk about peanut. I'm telling you, I've heard rumors that this was politically motivated because Mark Longo was a Trump supporter. I haven't found anything to substantiate that. I should back this all the way up to the beginning so that everybody knows what the hell's going on. We're going to talk about Peanut the squirrel and the raccoon, whose name I do not know, that were euthanized after being seized by the state. We're going to talk about Trump suing CBS for $10 billion. And I have some stuff that hopefully will make us laugh. So we're going to talk about that. But before we even get into that, I'm going to save the ratioing Liz Cheney because that's a highlight. But do I start with the Kamala Harris stuff? I'll go in sequence, people. We're going to start with the story of the day. I put out a vlog. A lot of you have seen it. It's absolutely enraging. I wake up and the story of the day is a man named Mark Longo and his wife Dani, D-A-N-I Longo. They have an Instagram page for a beautiful fat Eastern squirrel. It's a black squirrel. It was dark. It wasn't gray. Named Peanut. Peanut, they got 7 years ago because Peanut was orphaned after, I think Mark saw the mother get run over by a car. And so he took in this baby squirrel, named it Peanut, had it for 7 years. It became a house pet, ran around the house, jumped on his shoulder. I'll show you a couple of videos in a second. And he had a raccoon as well. He amassed a following with this squirrel on Instagram of like 1 million+ followers with cute videos. I mean, Instagram is still good for cute videos. It's unfortunately good for like wild violence and murders and accidents and all these terrible things, but it's great for cute animals. I follow a bunch. I didn't follow Peanut the squirrel, but I had seen a couple of videos. I follow this dog, this beautiful pit bull that, the guy feeds him stuff with his hands. And he took this squirrel in. It became wildly popular. And apparently he was getting complaints or people were accusing him of exploiting the animal. And just to get ahead of it, there are rumors out there and there are names floating on the internet of people who might be the culprits responsible for this. Do not jump on doxing bandwagons. Don't do it. Full stop. Period. Full stop is period. Don't do it. But he was getting complaints. He was having people accuse him of exploiting the animals. I know that there are some people who don't like these types of stories, period. Wild animals are wild animals. Nature's cruel. And if you see a squirrel get run over by a car, then its babies get eaten by a bird. That's the way it works. I had someone, this is not a joke, berate me. She was a mentally ill woman. There was no question about it. Back in Montreal, when I was right in front of Little Bear Pet Store, Pet Supplies, my good friend, or my friend owns it, and it's a great place. I'm outside there with my paralyzed puggle. And this old lady, French-Canadian, but that's neither here nor there, just to explain the language, comes up to me and starts telling me something about the dog. And I at first didn't understand because she's speaking French and I wasn't ready for it. And I thought she was saying, oh, like, that's nice of you to take care of that dog. And then I hear her saying, you should have had that dog euthanized. And I don't fight with people, despite what you might think. I was like, okay. And she's yelling at me, berating me, friends, like, t'aurais dû faire euthanasier ce chien. And then I realized she's crazy. And then someone else comes along and starts yelling at the woman in French. And like, I don't know, I don't know who's crazier, the crazy person who is crazy or the person who's crazy to fight with a crazy person. And I'm just sitting there while these two people are yelling at each other. But I actually had someone come up to me and tell me I would have been better off euthanizing that dog. Her life is misery. And I don't feel that way whatsoever. She's not particularly mobile. She drags herself around. She loves eating. She loves basking in the sun. And she does love it when I go kiss her in her bed. So some people don't like this. You're not supposed to have squirrels. You're not supposed to have raccoons. And you're not supposed to make money off of them because somehow that's terrible. If you make money bringing people joy, somehow that's terrible. So somebody was phoning in complaints. Somebody was effectively, now I forget the word when you call the cops and SWAT somebody. Basically, effectively swatted him. Called in a complaint to, I guess it's the New York Department of Environmentalism and Conservationism. The NYDEC. The NYDEC, by all accounts of the story, go to a judge and get a warrant to seize the animals because they're told that his house, Mark Longo's house, is a vector for rabies. And then they apparently got this warrant signed off on by a judge. I haven't seen any of the court filings yet, but by golly, if they're accessible to the public, I'm getting them. They go to his house, treat him like a common criminal, keep him outside of his house for 5 hours while they search his house like he's dealing crack cocaine. And I say this is relevant because it wasn't even alleged that he's a drug dealer. It's not like, there's a murder going on at his place and you got to go swat him. No. From what Tom said in an interview, Mark said in an interview on TMZ, which I'll bring up, the allegations were that he was a vector for rabies. And so they go, and while they're seizing this squirrel, the squirrel bites, apparently, allegedly, the hand of one of the DEC agents. And then they've got to test the squirrel for rabies. And I don't know if many of you know this. There's only one way to test an animal for rabies. And you kill it. And you do a dissection of its brain to see if it's infected with rabies. The other ways that they do it, when it's a non-wild animal, they leave it for observation for 10 days. And if the animal doesn't show signs of rabies, then they can tell the person, congratulations, you don't have rabies. But they don't do that typically. Because even if they leave the animal for 10 days to see if it doesn't have rabies, rabies is 100% fatal. I think there were 2 cases of people who survived, but they didn't survive without brain damage. There were 2 people in the history of the world who are known to have survived rabies. Other than that, it's 100% death rate. And if you don't get the rabies vaccine within a certain period of time and you get rabies, you will die, period. So typically what they do is they give you the shots anyhow out of a precaution. They're quite painful. I don't know if they have to go into your stomach anymore. And then they'll watch the dog if it's a dog, or they'll kill the wild animal and do a dissection on its brain to see if it's infected with rabies to know if you need to get the shot. Why do I know all of this? Because I had exceedingly a lot of experience with squirrels. If you don't know, I won't play my video because my own stream will get copy claimed. I made a living off squirrels for a little while in time because back in the day, it'll be November 9th, 2014. It'll be 10 years to the day this November, squirrel steals GoPro, carries it up a tree and drops it, went viral. And so I know about these things about rabies. I also know that rabies is aerosol spread. So if you explode a raccoon by driving into it with your car and it, vaporizes, you can get rabies through the aerosol particle matters of the animal. So, there was the video also of that woman getting attacked by a fox in New York or Pennsylvania, and that fox was rabid. Okay, so bottom line, the squirrel bites the hand of the New York Department of Environmental Conservationism, and so they euthanize the squirrel and they euthanize the raccoon. I see the story and I went a little bit nuts, but I said before I even publicize my anger, I'm going to make sure that this is accurate because fog of war could be a total hoax. It was reported in multiple news outlets. I saw the interview of Mark and his sobbing wife behind him, and I said I'm confident enough with the underlying facts right now that I'm going to express my rage of this situation. This is his interview on TMZ. I mean, this is, and people out there can say, it's just a squirrel. It's just a dog. You don't, I'll get to it in a second.
We just learned that they have euthanized Peanut.
And the raccoon as well.
And the raccoon as well. I am so sorry. This must be really difficult for you.
It not only tears my family apart, but Peanut was the cornerstone of our nonprofit animal rescue. And 10 to 12 DEC officers raided my house as if I was a drug dealer. I was sat outside my house for 5 hours. I had to get a police escort to my bathroom. I wasn't even allowed to feed my rescue horses breakfast or lunch. I was sat there like a criminal after they interrogated my wife to check out her immigration status, then proceeded to ask me if I had cameras in my house. Then proceeded to go through every cabinet, nook, and cranny of my house for a squirrel and a raccoon.
They got a search warrant?
They got a search warrant. 4 departments and a judge signed off on a search warrant.
I want to see that search warrant. There's a number of reasons. I'll say I'm not so much interested in names. I'm not anything about vigilante justice. I want to know the political leanings of the judge. Who appointed the judge? What track record this judge has? What was alleged in the affidavit for a warrant? We have reason to believe that there's a vector for rabies coming out of this guy's house. He's had this freaking squirrel for 7 years. It's a public figure, the squirrel. What was alleged in the affidavit? I'm going to get this. Joe Neerman, good logic, LAWGIC. He's in New York. He's Shomer Shabbos, so I know he's not online today. I'm going to ask him to see what we can get. We're going to get the court documents, unless they place them under the seal now, because of public backlash to the government seizing your pets and murdering them. They're going to put this all under seal now because we can't have any of those agents. They can't have their names come public. Now there's going to be too much backlash against them, right? That's how it works. They murder your pets and then they claim protection from the backlash for murdering your pets.
A squirrel and a raccoon. And then they took them and killed them.
Why did they go through all that to get a search warrant for an animal that had been with you very safely, and the world witnessed this for 7 years? Why now suddenly did they show up with a search warrant and take these animals?
We haven't a clue. We don't know who made the complaints. Again, Peanut was an indoor squirrel, not harming anybody. He's been with us for 7 years. Not a single complaint was ever filed for this animal. We had him for 7.5 years. He became the world's most famous squirrel. We weren't hiding him by any means. He was all over TikTok. He became the first squirrel on TikTok to ever hit 1 million followers.
TikTok, not Instagram.
He did every news station around the world. He's helped people. He's helped kids gather joy. And then we started a nonprofit animal rescue called Peanut's Freedom Farm to help animals like Peanut fight a good fight when they're in a neglected case or they're sitting in a slaughter auction. And he was the cornerstone of our life and our organization. We used his platform to help raise money for the 300 animals we have at our sanctuary.
I hope the audio differential between me and the video is not blowing people's ears out, but I'm also being told, if it's wrong, it might be wrong, but that he was on the verge of being, what's the word I'm looking for? Hold on, where is it? That he was on the verge of being recognized as an educational animal as well. They had applied to have the animal recognized as an educational animal. I made the joke that this is how John Wick got started. This is how the Killdozer guy got started. You're trying to live your own life, not harm anybody, bring joy to people, help orphaned animals, and some jackass on the internet goes and empowers the administrative state to go into their secret administrative tribunals, get secret warrants, and come and murder your animals. Now, I don't know what Mark Longo's political leanings were. I haven't gone that far into it. And if anybody in our Viva Barnes Law community knows, I'd like to know. There seems to be something. We're always living on that precarious universe where this is all a big fake and he's lying. I think we're beyond that fear right now, but it still exists in my head. But I'd like to know his political leanings. Whether or not he had any political posts, whether or not in Kathy Hochul's state, where they like to experiment on 6-month-old babies with a new experimental jab, whether or not there was any politics involved in this, because politics or not, it's irrelevant. It'll make it much, much, much worse, because the underlying problem here is an administrative state that knows no bounds and that has no limits. That's the underlying problem. Throw in political malice there, throw in political prejudice there, and then you have the political party with control over the administrative state that has no bounds and knows no limits that comes in and murders your pets. So that's the interview. Yeah, this is just taking this one from Fox 5. Peanut get out of here. Peanut the squirrel seized, euthanized in New York State raid. Elon Musk reacts. They say the internet famous squirrel from a New York man's home was seized, resulting in the beloved critter's euthanization and sparking outrage among. It should spark outrage not among fans, but among humans. Peanut, known for his cowboy hat and waffle-loving antics, had gained a social media following of over 500,000. Mark Longo, Peanut's owner, was devastated. According to Longo, at least 6 officers from the DEC, Department of Environmental Conservation. When you're from environmental conservation, do you typically kill the animals? They came to his door, seizing Peanut and another of his unconventional pets, Fred the raccoon. Fred, that was my Medicare name. FRE for the last 3 digits of your last name, and D for my first. Longo expressed shock, sorrow, describing both animals as cherished members of his sanctuary, which he founded in 2023 as a safe haven for rescued animals. The news has sparked widespread backlash, with even Elon Musk weighing in his X. The government should leave people and their animals alone. Fans are heartbroken. Why did authorities take Peanuts? The DEC said it launched an investigation following reports of, quote, potentially unsafe housing of wildlife that could carry rabies and the illegal keeping of wildlife as pets. It's an amazing thing. Are they now empowered to go and raid people's homes if they have a squirrel infestation in the ceiling? This is fucking madness, period. First of all, I know plenty of people, well, maybe not plenty, a handful of people who have raccoons as pets. Apparently, they're smarter than dogs. They're extremely cute. And squirrels? If you have a rat now, people with pet rats, pet mice, government gets to raid your house, kill them, maybe kill somebody in the process? If this guy had been a Second Amendment loving man and DEC shows up and he sees them grabbing his squirrel, or worse yet, he doesn't know who they are or why they're there. This is how accidents happen. But the idea of, understand this, rabies. I said this in one of my tweets, and I said this in the video that I put out earlier. Squirrels do not carry rabies as an exceedingly exceptionless rule. The reason why, as was explained to me by a vet, they're not nocturnal animals, so they don't typically cross paths with the animals that do carry rabies, such as bats. Raccoons can, because they're nocturnal animals. There has never been a documented case of transmission of rabies from a squirrel to a human. Never. You can fact check me. I looked this up because, as I joked earlier, every time I would get my GoPro back for one of my squirrel videos, it would have squirrel saliva on it, and I would spend the next week thinking I'm going to die from rabies because I'm absolutely idiotically neurotic. So this is all pretextual bullshit for the government to come and open your front door, kick it down, and rummage through your shit. That's all that this is. Longo claims Peanut, who was unfit for release due to a lack of survival skills, was being certified as an educational animal under state regulations. And then you have their... Despite the tragedy, Longo has vowed to continue his mission, announcing plans to set up a fundraiser in Peanut's memory. I'll never give up this nonprofit or those who fell in love with Peanut, he wrote. This is straw dogs material. This is the killdozer guy material. Just all that. This is network monologue material. Just leave us alone. Leave us the F alone. And the administrative state says, no, I micromanage your life, peasant. I micromanage your life. You are a servant to the administrative state. We are the managerial class, and you are the objects of our management. So that is what we know as of now. Be careful for things like fake stuff. It's very, very, very tricky. It's very, very tough to make sure. Peanut the Squirrel fake Trump comments on viral animal's death set X ablaze. And apparently there was a fake statement which read as follows. Statement by Donald J. Trump. This is fake, people. I'd like put the flaming fake around it so that nobody thinks I'm repeating fake news. There have been horrible reports out of New York, my former home state, where state environmental agents raided the home of Mark Longo and his wife. Mark was taken into custody for hours while officials searched his home and eventually took their pets. Fred the raccoon and Peanut the squirrel. These animals were later executed by the state of New York. New York authorities, under their terrible governor, put more effort into finding and eliminating a squirrel who was innocent by all accounts than they do control the unchecked illegal immigrants who have flooded into their state. If Peanut could have told them that he was from Mexico, they would have sent him on his way and given him a hotel room and a $500 gift card to Buddy Squirrel. Instead, he was taken from his family. Very sad and complete waste of resources. When we win, we will get our priorities in order and MAGA. You know, it'd be really hilarious if Trump takes this statement, fixes the typo, maybe fixes a little syntax and grammar, and reissues it himself. I appreciate people are going to say, Viva, you're always looking at things through a political blinder, and it's possibly true that I am. I don't see this as something that Trump would have prevented, or that the Trump administration would prevent. I see this as something that is emblematic of the problem of the administrative state that Kamala Harris and Tampon Tim Walz would enhance and jack up with steroids if they ever get into office. This is coming out of New York, and it's not an accident. New York is a communist hellhole, and when it wasn't them locking up Dexter Taylor for Second Amendment exercising of his rights by building firearms in his apartment, locking him up for 10 years. If Dexter's watching, or his lawyer, I missed a call from him yesterday, and hopefully I won't miss it the next time he calls. We speak periodically from, I think I know he's in the Coxsackie Correctional Facility. I forget what it's called, but we keep in contact via telephone. They locked Dexter Taylor up. I had him on twice, 10 years. Because he built his own firearms in the state of New York and didn't register them. That's felony firearm possession. And, you know, for a nonviolent first-time offender who's been a tax-paying New York citizen his entire life, this is how that corrupt communist statist hellhole thanks its citizens. We saw what they did to Trump. Changed the laws so that E. Jean Carroll, that batshit crazy lunatic, can sue him and try to bankrupt him. And you get a corrupt Judge Kaplan who fucks around with the entire system, so that they can get that judgment, so that he can then extrajudicially, or I shouldn't say extrajudicially, but extra verdict, beyond the verdict, decide willy-nilly that, yeah, Trump is guilty of rape, or liable of rape, even though the jury said no to that. Corrupt Judge, Louis A. Kaplan. Then you got your corrupt New York nipple judge Engoron trying to bankrupt Trump with that $450 million bullshit. Get your stuff and get the hell out of that hellhole state. When I asked Dexter Taylor, why didn't you just leave? People say, live with scoundrels, expect to be treated like one. He says, well, if the retreat can't be the only option to fight communism. And meanwhile, now he's going to be a martyr in jail. Mark Longo and Danny Longo are going to be martyrs because their animals were seized and murdered by the state. Trump looks like he'll be able to get out of his. But it's on blast for the world to see. And I don't know if it's fair to blame Kathy Hochul, but I'm going to do it anyhow. I think it is fair. This is a statist communist hellhole. And Kathy Hochul is all too happy to promote it. I don't remember if there's anything more for the squirrel story. Let me just bring these up here. Mr. Labrat subscribed. Welcome to the channel, Mr. Labrat. An on-point name for the subject matter of discussion. Welcome to our above-average vivabarneslaw.locals.com community. Bill Brown in the house, and I know Bill Brown sends me, good funny memes. And this morning I wasn't finding anything funny. He says no good deed goes unpunished. Then we got J Ash 62 in the house, says if Rabies was the issue. Why not just request them to be vaccinated for rabies? In our area, they are dropping packets with rabies vaccine in the woods to help the wild animals from getting rabies. Well, if the animals were already infected, then it's too late. Then they got to kill the animals. And the animal bit the hand of the DEC guy, who I'm sure was very gentle when seizing this squirrel. And I'm sure this squirrel, felt very safe and comfortable when this Gestapo SS stormtrooper of an agent is busting down their doors and grabbing their animals. So the rabies is pretextual. It's bullshit. There's nobody who thinks that those animals had rabies. You want to Google the last time there was a case of rabies in humans? Google the last time there was a case of rabies in if you can call it a domesticated pet raccoon. I mean, the raccoon might have very well already been vaccinated for rabies. I don't know how you vaccinate a squirrel for rabies. I vaccinated my 2 stupid dogs, even though one of them can't walk around outside and the other one doesn't because he's blind. It was pretextual. This is, and I have a feeling there's something more to this, more politically sinister or targeted sinister underlying this, but we'll see. For the time being, I don't need anything more sinister in order to understand that this is a godforsaken outrage. People should be outraged, and people should appreciate that whether or not this is directly tied to the upcoming election on November. This is November 5th, Tuesday. This is ballot matter subject material. This is an administrative state that is out of control. And it's not an accident. Kamala Harris says, hey, just because you have a gun behind your locked doors in the sanctity of your own house doesn't mean we're not coming there. It doesn't mean we're not. The party that says, stay out of my bedroom, Republicans, as if anybody wants to know what the hell people are doing sexually in their bedrooms anyhow. The party that says, stay out of my bedroom, also says simultaneously, we can kick down your front door and kill your animals. So yeah, it's time to get politically angry. And November 5th is Tuesday. This is the day you make the decision. Are you ushering this shit in by voting for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, or are you taking a stand against the rampant, out of control administrative state that thinks they get to bust down your door, put you in jail for owning firearms, kill your pets if they say, well, these are unconventional pets. And if they kill you in the process, like they did to that guy with his mean, threatening Facebook posts, well, that's what the administrative state gets to do. And they get to claim immunity, wash their hands, the world weeps for a little bit, and then everybody goes on and the state goes on to its next victim. Lord Sterling says, Peanut was more than a squirrel. He was a symbol of unconditional love, of the best aspects of humanity, protecting nature and innocence itself, and an ambassador raising money for 300 shelter animals. I'm going to show you a video of this squirrel. Just the absolute cutest thing on earth. Lord Sterling says here, justice for Peanut. Is Barnes interested in launching a class action lawsuit on behalf of the millions who loved Peanut? We need you, Barnes. Peanut was a pure, beautiful soul who knew nothing but love. And then we got humans have an inherent right to bond with nature, to save and befriend dying creatures, and to connect with the planet. Need justice for Peanut. Who else wants to be a part of a class action against New York? I'm telling my kid what's going on this morning, and he's like, well, we saved those turtles. We have little turtles. I mean, can they bust us down for having turtles? They're going to come in the Viva household has been reported as a vector for salmonella. If any of you don't know this, salmonella, you can get salmonella from reptiles, iguanas, turtles. So don't let them bite you, and don't lick your fingers after you touch an iguana if you ever get the chance. But no, I was like, hey, who knows? Maybe turtles are conventional enough. Squirrels, no. Squirrels, they can kick down your front door, take your animals, and kill them. Was there anything else for Peanut that I wanted to talk about? I wanted to show one of the videos, just the absolute cutest thing on earth. It was a well-fed squirrel. Let me just go pull one of these up here. Sorry. Oh, crap. Now let's go Twitter. You have to see the squirrel. It's just beautiful. Let's go Peanut squirrel. Excuse me. Here. Yeah, I think this one will do. Yeah, this one will do. Turtles, I think, can be released later on. I presume they're pretty robust animals that They're robust enough that I think they go and they eat dead fish anyhow. Like when I feed my turtles, they go for the dead maggots more than the pellets. I just want to show you what Peanut looked like. Why is it my computer? Is it the internet, or is it Twitter in incognito mode? I'm going to go with Twitter incognito mode and blame Elon Musk. I'm joking, Elon. Okay, while that decides whether or not it wants to. And it's coming. Forget it. Viva's attention span is over. I'll bring it up on my personal account and just make sure not to open my DMs here. Volume down so that we don't run afoul of copyright claims. Look at this. Look at this beautiful animal. The man had a job, it looks like. Squirrel used to eat waffles. Look at that cute animal. Oh, he threw it. Someone's got to call the authorities. That was a well-fed squirrel, too. That's a fatty. What does that say? Breakfast with peanuts? Crawl around the house. I mean, people have ferrets. You can have a ferret. That's fine. Not a squirrel. Someone is going to go to hell for this. And someone will suffer some karma consequences for this. The guy, I was on the radio this morning, repeating the line now. I don't remember where I heard it or who said it to me, but you believe in God not because God has revealed himself, but because evil has revealed itself. You have to believe in some form of a hell in order for there to be some form of retribution for people who don't get punished on this earth for the evil deeds that they've done. This was a digital swatting. They didn't come with guns and kill a person. They came with guns and they killed someone's loving and beloved animal. Okay, and I don't think there's any more news to that. Let me see. I'm going to go over to vivabarneslaw.locals.com and see what's going on here. Any news on Peanut? And whoever called it in, I know that there's rumors that I'm absolutely not partaking in any potential form of a doxing whatsoever. I want to get those court records and see what the hell was alleged. And everybody should understand this. Is like, you don't have to even have the squirrel in your house for them to come. Viva, there are certain turtles in Florida that are protected. This much I discovered, by the way. I discovered this. Hold on. I know what we found is not protected. It's a radio, because I could identify that, and a cooter. I double checked actually before this. The kids come home. Kids came home with a turtle they found on the street, and it's a baby. It was a hatchling, and there's no, that thing's dead. And then the neighbor came over with a red ear. The red ears I could identify. We got a cooter that I know is not protected. And once I found a tortoise. I say I found it. I'm on the road and I spot a tortoise, and I knew it was a tortoise. So I didn't do what that girl did on TikTok and throw it. Hey, I'm saving a turtle, and throw it in the water because tortoises will drown. But the tortoise, it was I want to say a box tortoise. Is that possible? Box tortoise. I'm pretty sure it was a box tortoise. Yeah, it was a box tortoise. And I'm certain those are protected in Florida. That I just moved off the road to a safe area near a swampland, but I did not take that tortoise home. Plus, they live too long. They grow too big. And that's it. Viva, does it make you more mad it was your spirit animal, the squirrel? Well, no, technically, who did that come from? That came from Quackabot. My spirit animal is a bird, if my former colleague Julia is right. No, I just know squirrels. They're beautiful, cute animals. The ones out in Florida are super lean, super agile, and they don't have any extra meat on their bones. And they're not as bold as the ones up in Montreal, Quebec. The ones in Quebec are fatties, and they get super fat right before winter so that they can last throughout the winter where they have less food. And they are very, very not aggressive, bold. They will crawl into your food. They'll crawl into your carriage. They'll pull out your daughter's tooth if you ask them to. If anybody's never seen that video, go look up Squirrel Pulls Out Girl's Baby Tooth. And you might come across a video featuring me and my eldest daughter back in the day. Viva Bunny says Peanut is just a tipping point. There could be nothing more emblematic, nothing more representative of what it means to have an out-of-control administrative state managerial class government. There can be nothing more of a personification of the evils of a managerial state, administrative government that operates with impunity and immunity, then coming into your house, seizing your animals, and murdering them for absolutely no reason. Absolutely no reason. Mark had set up a fundraiser to fight getting the animals back, and they don't even wait long enough before murdering the animals. So yeah, people have to answer for this. People have to answer for this. Okay, that's it. I'm going to go to the chat and see what's going on here. We got Sunbeam Valley, who says DEC not wearing gloves and using nets. Those pros shouldn't get bit. It's a good point, actually. I didn't even think about how they would have gotten bit in the first place. Okay, that's it for that. Now, speaking of devils, did somebody say Satan? Look, I don't buy into these hand gesture things, except when they're in your freaking face. I saw this. I mean, this is how crazy the world is. What's going on? I want to enlarge. Okay, we're already enlarged. I saw this, and I swear to you, I thought it was an AI-generated image of someone who's making fun of Kamala Harris. So I'm not yet spoiling the punchline. Is it? I see this picture, and I'm like, oh, her fingers look way too long to be real. They look AI-generated. You know, they say in every AI-generated image, go to the fingers, because that'll be the dead giveaway. If the fingers are all mutated, and if there's 6 fingers on one hand, then you know it's an AI image. So I look at this like, oh, unclear. I go to the back, looking around here. This looks pretty clear. This looks pretty sharp, pretty clean. Go back up to her hand. I'm like, why is Kamala Harris giving me the devil horn? I don't believe in these hand gestures. I don't believe that people are flashing satanic symbols. What's the word? Not subconsciously, but in order so that they are interpreted or absorbed subliminally. I don't believe it. Except sometimes, people. Because it's not just that, like, when I do my streams and I talk with my hands and I see people say, Viva, you just flashed the devil horns, or Viva did the okay sign. Like, first of all, this is like a sequence of events, and you can grab any, I could be throwing gang signs down at any given point in time. When you decide to use this, because by the way, spoiler alert, this is a legitimate, this is her. This came from her campaign. I screen grabbed, I saved the image so that it wouldn't disappear. This came from her campaign. Close. Close. This came from her campaign. Kamala Harris, official campaign. And you go back, and she tweeted it. When someone decides to tweet it, then I say that's a little bit different. Back in the day, I used to have my wife got a ram head at IKEA, and I thought it was nice, and I set it up in the back of the studio back in Montreal, back when I was in my basement. And then I noticed people in the chat saying, what's up with the Baphomet statue behind you? And I had no idea what Baphomet was at that time. That's Baphomet. That's a freaking ram horn that my wife got at IKEA, but I'll take it down so that nobody thinks I'm trying to subliminally suggest anything. She chose this picture. Hold on. What does that symbol mean? I know maybe it's not the devil horns. Pinky and index thumb hand gesture. What does it mean? What does it mean? Tell me now. There are multiple hand gestures that involve the pinky finger and the index finger. The love you gesture. Or maybe it's the love you gesture. The shaka, a gesture made by extending the thumb and pinky finger. Oh, she's saying, I love you, Georgia. I got it. The sign of the horns. This is just what I mean. Except the pinky, while folding down the middle finger, ring fingers, is a common gesture in America. Rock away to heavy metal. She's saying, I love you in sign language. Oh, it's nothing. It's oh, that's funny. The devil horns. So that's it. Okay. It's amazing. That's hilarious. The gestures made by extending the index, pinky, while folding down the middle fingers is a common American heavy metal music scene. However, in some countries such as Brazil, Italy, Portugal, it can be interpreted as an accusation of infidelity. Nothing better than having two mutually or diametrically opposed symbols. So I get that's going to be the defense. She was saying, I love you, not putting up the devil horns. Oh, lordy, lordy. But anyways, that was just the humorous cleansing of the palate. Trudeau is retarded, says, hold on. says, no, you don't have your index finger up. Look, I know what I think, but I'm telling you, like they should. How about just a wave? Well, I don't even know what this. There's a number of hand gestures that I get accused of that I don't even know what they mean, but oh. Okay. Anyways, that was it. We're not done with Kamala Harris yet. What was the other one that I had under there? This was a segue into this. Oh yes, that's right. This was a segue into Kamala Harris being a POS liar. She cannot open. I was going to make dirty jokes, and I figure I probably shouldn't. You know, like she opens her mouth, she lies. It seems to be the only thing she's good at. Came out with this one because we're past the point now of we're past the point of telling the truth and unification. Now it's lying and divisiveness. People say Donald Trump is a great businessman, but just look at his record. He was handed $400 million on a silver platter and filed for bankruptcy 6 times. The amount of lies that Kamala Harris, devil woman herself, chooses to propagate and repeat over and over and over again is astonishing. Agenda 2025 is a Donald Trump thing. He's gonna take away all your rights. Suckers and losers. What was the other one? It had to do with another one calling suckers and losers. There's all. Police officers were murdered on January 6th. Trump was handed $400 million on a silver platter and filed for bankruptcy 6 times. The second time, I don't know if he did it personally, but companies, whatever. You all know that this $400 million, he was given $400 million when even the partisan lapdog propagandist fact checkers have to say half true. That means it's all a lie. I happen to know that it's all a lie. But let's go to PolitiFact, shall we? Former President Donald Trump, quote, started out with $400 million on a silver. She said it even better this time. He was given $400 million on a silver platter and then filed for bankruptcy 6 times. Well, she said this in September. It's been fact-checked since. Half true, they say. Listen to this. Half true. It's all a bald-faced lie. Let's see. If your time is short, Donald Trump received in the present-day equivalent, so it's already false, but present-day equivalent, $413 million from his father or his father's estate over the course of his lifetime, according to over his father's estate over his lifetime, specifically means he was not handed $400 million at any point in time. Lie. Not half true, pants on fire, false, but it gets even worse. It wasn't all available to him when he started out. So it's a lie, PolitiFact. Listen, he received perhaps $1 million or $2 million of that before being hired to work at the family business. But he always had reasonable expectations of inheriting a share of his father's business. Oh my goodness. Oh, so he has a reasonable expectation of inheriting his father's wealth when his father dies and bequeaths that inheritance. But he wasn't given $400 million to start. He was given $1 to $2 million. Listen to this. And Trump's companies have filed for bankruptcy a total of 6 times. Hold on. I got to get to the part where they get to that $400 million. It's looking for the word tax. Here, look at this. During a rally, he turned in 500 taxes. Okay. The Times investigation, listen to this, based on vast trove of confidential tax returns, confidential yet somehow released and nobody went to jail for that, doesn't matter, reveals Mr. Trump received the equivalent of $413 million of his father's real estate empire, starting when he was a toddler and continuing to this day. We got to find the next one here. Okay, hold on. No, this one might not. For gosh sake, come on. I weighed down. Okay, we're screwed. I'm getting irritated with that one. The bottom line, they include in that 400 and some odd million that he was given over the course of his life through his father's estate tax breaks, people. Here, look at this. This is it right here. AP, New York Times, Trump got $413 million from his dad, much from tax dodges. I mean, so it went from he was given $400 million to he was given actually $1 to $2 million, but may have inherited the equivalent of $400 million over the course of his lifetime, to the $413 million was from tax benefits, tax dodges. New York Times reported Tuesday. This is when is this? This is an older article, 2018. He received at least $413 million from his father over the decades, much of that through dubious tax dodges. Lie. But they won't. They'll call that a half truth and not a pants on fire because it's Kamala Harris. Oh, and I won't go over the bankruptcy stuff. She's a liar. She's just a godforsaken liar. All she can do is lie. All she can do is demonize, and all they can do is demean, degrade, and demonize their ideological adversaries, and not just their adversaries, their followers. It's a special level of evil when you go from demonizing the politicians to demonizing the followers. And I know some of you out there are going to say, Viva, you say anybody who votes for Kamala Harris is an idiot. First of all, I say it. And I would still invite them over for dinner. I would still have a good conversation with them. The major distinction, however, is that I'm not the leader. And when you're running for office, you got to govern everybody, even the people who didn't vote for you. I agree. As a politician, to come out and say, if you vote for Donald Trump, you're an idiot, that would be a very politically divisive thing to do. That would be an indication that you probably couldn't govern the people who didn't vote for you fairly and with clean spirit. I can concede that. But I will say, if you vote for Kamala Harris, you're an idiot. Because you have to be. Because and an idiot in the loving sense, like, oh, you're an idiot. Go and read a paper. Go and watch a podcast. Go and listen to Donald Trump on Joe Rogan. You think he's Hitler? Yeah, because you're an idiot. Go watch him on Rogan. But a politician doesn't get to demonize the followers of their political adversaries, because that would indicate that they will not govern them. They will persecute them. Much in the exact same way, Joe Biden, who just called Trump supporters garbage, has been prosecuting Trump supporters, seizing their assets, raiding their homes, executing them during pre-dawn FBI raids, locking them up for years. When you think that they're garbage and you say that they're garbage while you simultaneously persecute them, yeah, that's probably the good reason why you can't start doing that. You notice, has Trump ever said anything bad about Kamala Harris supporters? I asked the question, maybe he has. I don't think he has. So that's Kamala Harris. Hey, Pudge, come here. Get over here. Get over here. Come here. Prove the life. Oh, come on, get over here. Now let's see if it happens, people. Oh, she hasn't done it in a while. This is Pudge. Look at her little leggies. They twitch still. Oh, this dog is so cute. The last time I did this, or at least one of the times I did this, she pooped on me. You remember that? I got to wash my hands. All right, so that's what I'll have to say about that. Let me go to the chat on Viva Barnes Law. .locals.com. Ali Michael says, hi, Pudge. Ali Michael says, New York is run by a bunch of Karens and tyrants. So someone on my video earlier today said, and I hope she was joking, she's like, now my favorite YouTuber is using the Karen trope. And imagine how I feel. I have to hear this. Her name was Karen something. And I was like, that is such a Karen response. And then a little sticking tongue out emoji. I meant it with love. Karen, if you're watching. But yeah, so I've talked about it. The name Karen has been kind of embarrassified, if that's a word. The name Brandon also. I know a couple of Brandons like, dude, this is not the time. Let's go Brandon to have the name Brandon. Chad as well. What do you want? Get out. Go. Come on. Go. Get out. Oh, get out of here. Okay, hold on. Oh my goodness, things hurt so much. Go. Okay. Oh, that's right. Daniel Penny. Not Daniel Penny. Is it Daniel Penny, the guy in New York? That is the one. Daniel Penny. I just saw that. Who's he's on trial for defending people. Everyone see that Daniel Penny is innocent. The junkie moron was still breathing and had a pulse when cops arrived. The bottom line is this. People are going to say, he didn't do it and it's not a big deal if he did and yada, yada. The whole moving goalpost. Even if the guy did in fact die from being put in a chokehold, Daniel Penny should still walk free. But I don't think he did. I think it's going to be another case of a George Floyd situation where you're going to have a politically motivated coroner who's going to write down certain contributing factors of death to write up others, even though actually in the autopsy, he didn't even write up the others. I don't believe, we'll see where that's going. I haven't been following that trial, but I'll catch up on it. Tomorrow night, we're going to have a good show, actually. We always have a good show. But we're going to go over the amendments that are on various ballots throughout the country on November 5th to try to make sense of them for anybody who might not be able to make sense of them. Let me go over to, I just saw something coming from Biltong. Biltong is in the house. We stream Friday and Sundays at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central, live on Rumble only. Shit talking and cooking real food. Follow me, click away at Rumble on the avatar, Biltong, King of Biltong, and add some Biltong to your diet as a high-protein snack alternative packed with B12, zinc, iron, creatine, and more. Get yourself some at Biltong. Viva 10, BiltongUSA.com. Viva 10 for 10% off. We also have dried fruit. Oh. Okay. What was I going to do? I was going to vivabarneslaw.locals.com to see what's going on over here. That's what I wanted to do. Ali Michael, hi, Pudge. Okay, let me bring this up because this is funny, but this also you have to be careful about. I don't think the picture on the right is I have to see if that one on the right is totally unaltered. The one on the left is clearly passed through a filter. Media rating? No, but it's not actual rating. It's audience rating. Not well, I guess actual would be funnier, but that's quite funny. All right. I've got to take a victory lap, people, if I may. So I did a video. I did a vlog yesterday. I couldn't go live to do the victory lap in person because I couldn't go live yesterday. There was the fake news story that was all over the place. Here, let's go. I have to do this one in my real account. Okay, so Aaron T. Rupar, a lying sack of shit. He will lie and deceive to promote his agenda. That is the Urban Dictionary definition of Aaron T. Rupar. He puts out a tweet that became the fake news of the day yesterday. Trump on Liz Cheney, already an image that I don't want. Quote, let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her. Let's see how she feels about it, when the guns are trained on her face. And you will notice that lying sack of shit, Aaron T. Rupar, actually didn't lie here overtly, but a lie through omission is a lie. This quote is accurate. The only problem is it's not the entirety of the relevant quote. Even out of context, it's still not bad. Because people are saying, oh my goodness, he called for her to be executed. And then other people with half a brain, which would seem to be like not any of Kamala Harris's supporters, say, who the hell arms the person they're executing with a rifle? So I not that facts matter for the smooth-brained idiots who want to see Trump, Hitler, wherever they look. People were saying that people were quoting this as having seen Trump ask for firing squad on Liz Cheney, because that's how smooth-brained idiots read this. The main problem is, even if he said someone should meet the fire, he didn't say that. No, I can't even say that. Firing squads historically are 5. Firing squads don't go for the face. They go for the torso, they go for the heart, and from what I've actually read up on this, they don't want to disfigure, and they want to make sure that they kill the person. And you don't want to miss shooting the face. Like you go for center mass. It's a known thing. So other than the fact that you don't have 9 people in a firing squad, typically you have 5. They go for the chest and they put a little cloth over the heart so that they know what to aim for. They don't arm the person being executed with a rifle. So anybody with half a functioning brain probably knew exactly what Trump is getting at here. Give her a rifle, send her off to war, and see how she feels having enemy combatants pointing firearms at her, weapons at her, guns at her. So here's the quote. Here's the out of context or half context. Well, you can't hear it because I don't have the volume up.
And I don't blame him for sticking with his daughter. But his daughter is a very dumb individual, very dumb. She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it.
Do you notice he didn't put she's a radical war hawk and didn't put the part that comes after, which he didn't even include in the video?
When the guns are trained on her face. And I don't blame him for sticking with his...
So I had to go down here and said, living up to your name, Rupar, a lying sack of shit who deceives people for a living in the name of his political ideology. Every word that comes out of his mouth is a lie.
And Cheney was he said, I really want to thank you. He said, now I'm so glad that I actually endorsed you. It's amazing, but that you would do this. And I didn't speak to him about it. But then, go a couple of years forward or go now. And I don't blame him for sticking with his daughter.
There you go, the quote.
But his daughter is a very dumb individual, very dumb. She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face. You know, they're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh, gee, let's send 10,000 troops right into the mouth of the enemy. But she's a stupid person. And I used to I'd have meetings with a lot of people, and she always wanted to go to war with people. And Cheney was so
the news, you know, obviously the lie
really
spreads faster than the truth.
He said, now I'm so glad that I actually endorsed you. It's amazing.
Go here.
But that you would do
the
this.
News,
and I didn't speak to him about it.
Okay, so push pause, press escape. The lie obviously spreads halfway around the world before the truth catches up to it, but I did a good job trying to make sure of this. Now, listen to this. This is where I'm going to take my victory lap, people. Liz Cheney tweets out, this is how dictators destroy free nations. They threaten those who speak against them with death, as if that's what Trump did here. And by the way, because she's just retweeting a piece of shit liar who lies with brazenness in the name of his political ideology. They threaten those who speak against them with death. We cannot entrust our country and our freedom to a petty, vindictive, cruel, unstable man who wants to be tyrant. To which I replied, it was good. That's got 1.7. That, I believe that qualifies as a ratio, right? That's pretty good. He called you a war whore, a chicken war whore who has no qualm sending other people's children off to die, but would shit her pants if ever sent herself. You are a chicken war whore and your father is a war criminal. Do us all a favor, Liz. Go to Ukraine to fight with the Azov battalion. In the voice of Morgan Freeman, she would not go to the Ukraine to fight with the Azov battalion. But it gets better, actually. There was something else that I had to. Oh, yeah, that's right. So people got caught with their pants down with this lie. I mean, as if, first of all, if you see anything from Aaron Rupar, you know it's a lie. Period. That should be the starting point. And when you go to prove that it's a lie, if it happens to be confirmed to be accurate, like one of those days where Aaron forgets to lie, that'll be the exception to the rule. Aaron Rupar says it's a lie. If you hear it from Aaron Rupar and you repeat it, you're an idiot. Some people just got caught with their pants down. They read it in the news. Oh, I read that he said firing squad. If you don't go double check it, if you don't start off with the operating position that if it's about Trump, it's a lie or it's biased, you've learned nothing in the last 10 years, which makes you an idiot. Jonah Goldberg apparently is an idiot. No, that's not the one I want to bring up just yet. First of all, I didn't know who Jonah Goldberg was until I was graced with his presence on my Twitter feed because he's an idiot. Jonah Goldberg, listen to this. Jonah Goldberg is editor-in-chief of The Dispatch. Let me just see what The Dispatch is. The Dispatch. Unbiased news of informed conservative analysis. Well, oh my. Listen to this. This makes it even worse. I need to make a statement. This morning on CNN, I referred to Trump's rifles quote as him advocating a, quote, firing squad, end quote, for Liz Cheney. Oh, this morning, I made up words that someone didn't say. I was reacting in haste to what were objectively appalling and irresponsible comments that he had been framed in the setup piece in the context of previous statements Trump made about shooting protesters and having generals executed. Let me translate this for Jonah. I was reacting in haste to what were objectively appalling and irresponsible comments that he never made, you moron. Trump made about, Still, I was wrong to say that he was calling for the firing squad and execution because I made it up out of whole cloth. I believed a lie. Yeah, I was wrong. Good. After I said that, my co-panelist, Brad, told me the case I was wrong. Brad was right, and again, I was wrong. Trump was making, albeit in customary fashion, a different argument about Cheney's alleged foreign policy views and use of force. Oh, so you were wrong. You repeated a lie. You said he said something that he never said, and you actually ignored the true reason, context, and meaning behind what he said. Okay, good for you. I let my disgust at Trump's comment get the better of me. No, you let your own haste and ignorance get the better of you. I let my disgust at Trump's comments get the better of me. He didn't say it, you jackass. I let my disgust about Trump's comments of things that he didn't actually say get the best of me. And so I said that he said things that he never said. In fact, at the end of the program, having thought about it, I said as much, though I could have been clearer. A fact that has been left out in a lot of the criticism of me since this morning. In other words, I voluntarily conceded the point, unprompted, before any of the subsequent criticism came my way. You can find it here, the 220-minute. I regret the initial comment because it was inaccurate. No, it was false. And contributed to the kind of overheated environment Trump thrives on? Can you believe this fucking pathological ass? I regret the fact that I contributed. I made a mistake. I lied. And it contributes to the overheated environment that but Trump is the bad man in all of this. This man's not conservative. This man is a freaking liberal. This man is a capital L liberal, a capital D. This man's voting for Kamala Harris. What an absolute scoundrel. Trump's words were bad enough. No, they weren't. You idiot. But it's worth noting that a lot of the criticism about my inaccuracy is itself somewhat inaccurate, or at least incomplete, given my correction. No, it's not. And by the way, Jonah, no, you're not the victim in this. But wait, it gets worse because he's not yet done digging his grave. Metaphorically speaking, Jonah, don't think that's right. Don't quote me and say, oh my God, I said Jonah should dig his own grave. Someone named Molly said something. I forget what it was. Doesn't matter. LOL. Okay, Molly, because you demanded it and your moral and ethical authority is just so compelling, I sincerely apologize to Donald Trump for thinking it might have been possible that his lurid fantasizing about Liz Cheney being in the crosshairs of a bunch of soldiers might have been more ominous than it was. This is fantastic. This is how you apologize by not apologizing. And this is how you dig your own grave and dig yourself deeper into a hole by apologizing. I guess I let myself be unduly influenced by his past comments. It's Trump's fault that he lied about how he said Mark Milley deserves to be executed for entirely properly without authorization, reassuring China. You know what? I know that this guy's lying about even what Trump said about Milley. What Trump probably said about Milley is that what's the punishment for treason? Because that is what Milley did. Not to mention his incessant talk about using the military against the enemy within. Oh my God, he's actually quoting Kamala Harris's straight up lie here. The Dispatch should go out of business after this. His calls for military tribunals for Cheney and other members of the January 6th committee. What's wrong with that? Can't have tribunals anymore? And his stated belief that the Constitution should be suspended to reinstall. This man is mentally unwell. And the Dispatch should cease to exist after this. If you continue to listen to the Dispatch, knowing that the editor-in-chief is unhinged and brain dead and a liar and a scoundrel of the highest order, you may as well just go back to reading CNN, although I think even CNN might be better than the Dispatch at this point in time. I apologize to the victim for letting him give me a false impression of his intent. This is pathological Darvo. Deny, attack, reverse, victim, and offender. Again, I didn't lie. I made a mistake. I'm not so sure anymore. Goldberg? Hold on. Was it Goldberg? Jonah. Corrected it well before you and the other ilk went nuts, and I showed more fidelity to the truth in that moment than you have in the last 8 years. No, you haven't. No, you didn't. Jonah, I never knew who you were before yesterday. And I know that I will not even wipe my digital bottom with the digital filth that is the Dispatch. So congratulations. You've really done some great publicity for yourself and others. All right. What else do we have here? I actually forgot that Mark Robert is coming over for dinner. I didn't forget. I just have to prepare. Mark Robert, America's Untold Stories, Eric Hunley's partner in the interwebs, is coming over for dinner, so I got to get prepared for that. We are going to do one more story, and then we're going to have a little bit of a locals after party. Trump is suing CBS for $10 billion, people. I don't know what the chances of success are for this. It's not a defamation suit, everybody, so let's get clear on what it is and what it isn't. Trump is suing CBS, yada, yada, for $10 billion. And I love it. Let me just make sure that we can make sure that he's doing that. There you go. Wherefore, the President Donald Trump demands judgment against defendants CBS Broadcasting, CBS Interactive as follows. 1 count compensatory damages in the amount to be determined, $75,000, that's fine, and approximately $10 billion. On count 1, an order enjoining CBS's ongoing false, misleading, and deceptive acts, the attorney's fees, such other relief. Okay. It's not a defamation case. What it is a case under the, I'm going to forget the Texas Business and Commerce Act. Let me see if I remember that. Yeah, Texas Business and Commerce Code. which prohibits false and misleading or deceptive acts or practices in the conduct of any trade or commerce. Nature of the action. This action concerns CBS's partisan and unlawful acts of election and voter interference through malicious, deceptive, and substantial news distortion calculated to A, confuse, deceive, and mislead the public, and B, attempt to tip the scales in favor of the Democratic Party as the heated 2024 presidential election, which President Trump is leading, approaches its conclusion in violation of Texas Business Code 1746, which subjects, quote, false, misleading, and deceptive acts or practices in the conduct of any trade or commerce for suit under the... Okay, fine. We don't need to go through any of this, actually, because you all know the facts. CBS edited dishonestly an answer that Kamala Harris put out, saw that the first one was a word salad, verbal diarrhea, and figured they had to fix that by, in a subsequent edit, splicing in as the alleged answer to the alleged question, an allegedly, or at least definitively, totally different answer. Okay. It is arguably, there's got to be something illegal somewhere in there, because this is election interference, because they obviously did it to make Kamala Harris look better than Kamala Harris made herself look during that interview. Okay, fine. You go through the parties, they're suing in Texas, which might be a good place because Texas has this law, probably a more favorable jurisdiction than, say, California. And then they go into we'll go to everything. We're going to skip right down to the count, because the issue in this case, as I predict is going to be one of standing, and it's going to be one of jurisdiction. The question is going to be, does Trump have standing to bring suit? Is he a consumer under the business code? And do the courts have jurisdiction if this might be subject matter for the FCC? So count one, the DTP of the Texas Business Commerce Code, and I'll bring up that code in a second. Texas Business Code provides false or misleading stuff as to be shunned upon. A consumer, paragraph 53, may maintain an action where any of the following constitute a producing cause of economic damages or damages for mental anguish. The use of, they're quoting from the law here, the use or employment of any person, false, misleading, or deceptive act that is A, specifically enumerated in subdivision, whatever, any unconscionable action or course of action by any person. Each consumer who prevails may obtain damages. President Trump is a consumer, paragraph 55, within the meaning of the act, since he is an individual who sought and received CBS's broadcast services. So that's where I think this is going to hinge, because what I suspect is going to happen is the courts are going to say we don't have jurisdiction, on the one hand, because the FCC covers this. Now, this is grok, so take it for what it's worth. And I'm going to pick Barnes's big brain tomorrow about this. Son of a gun. Grok. Here. Texas Business and Commerce Code itself does not directly address application of its law specifically to television broadcasting or to television as a medium in the exceptions provided, however, from information available. General business regulation. The Texas Business and Commerce Code covers a broad range of commercial activities, including consumer protections, fair trade practices, regulations against monopolistic behaviors. These general regulations could theoretically apply to any business operating within Texas, including television stations or networks, if they engage in practices covered by the laws, like advertising, consumer data protection, or business dealings that might affect competition. Okay, so I don't know that this falls within that. And I know that they're going to argue it doesn't. FCC, the Federal Communication Commission. Historically, in the context of media like television, regulations often come from the FCC, Federal Communications Commission. At the federal level, which oversees broadcasting, the FCC's Fairness Doctrine, for instance, was mentioned in ex post, indicating a federal overlay of regulations on TV broadcasting, which historically didn't apply to cable TV, showing a distinction in regulatory oversight based on transmission methods. So, my prediction is it's going to get tossed on jurisdiction and standing, and then maybe they're going to say FCC. We're going to have to determine whether or not FCC has jurisdiction, and if they decide that they don't, then we'll bring it back to the courts. The one good thing, this is again not necessarily a lawsuit about winning. This is a lawsuit about being exposed to the public, reminding everyone leading into November 5th that you are dealing with communist status overrule. Administrative states run amok, backed by legacy media, propagandist arms of the regime. This is the definition, Mussolini's definition of fascism, the marriage between corporatism and government. And if this lawsuit gets tossed, who gives a sweet bugger all? Put it on blast. CBC falsified documents to protect the incompetent nincompoop that is Kamala Harris. They actually spliced together an answer that didn't exist to make her look like less of an idiot. They went from being the watchdogs of the government to the lapdogs of the Kamala Harris regime. They fraudulently represented what Kamala Harris said to tens of millions of people. Maybe there are not that many people who watch that rubbish, and everyone should know it. So Trump is suing them. $10 billion, make it a wild, outlandish quantum. $10 billion. They're going to get the publicity they deserve. And if the courts don't have jurisdiction, the FCC should come down and have some form of a sanction for CBS, because it's unconscionable what they did. And I think that does it for the good stuff for today. I better go I got to exercise before Grill Bear comes over. Yep. No, well, first of all, I appreciate that now as well. So that's people are gonna make fun of me for that. But no, it's also the devil horse. But you go mute. I know that'll be the answer. Viva, it was an ASL sign for I love you. Look it up, American Sign Language. I love you. What else do we got here? Let's not forget, dude, the keeping wildlife an amphibious rodent for domestic, within the city. Also, let's not forget, dude, that keeping John's on cash. I don't know what that means. I wonder, did Viva Fry ever took Anton's meat in his mouth on camera? Now, I have a sneaking suspicion that this is a meme here or a joke. This is the Angus. And you can tell it's already opened and almost empty. This is Anton's meat, people, right here. And the only problem, if I bite my lip, I'm going to cry. Salty, delicious, healthy. I also hate eating in front of people. A childhood. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to choke on television or on. No, now the dog wants some. No, not now. Okay, there you go. I've eaten it. I don't want to choke and I don't want to have food in my teeth. Hold on. Okay, we're good. Viva, what are my thoughts on this? And let me go over to the locals community and I'm going to read the chats in locals when I get over here. Hold on. Viva, what are my thoughts on this? Oh, now the dog wants some. Johal Capital. Last week, the FCC approved and purchased by George Sorel's 200 radio stations across 40 markets, reaching more than 165 million Americans just a week before the presidential election. FCC staff expressed concerns about the political motivations behind the move. The commissioner's 3 Democrat members voted in favor, while the 2 Republicans members opposed it. Current FCC rules limit foreign ownership of U.S. radio stations to 25%. Soros utilized foreign investments for his bid and requested an expedited review process, bypassing national security that could have taken up to a year. Yeah, I heard that. What are my thoughts on it? Hold on, let me just show this in our locals community. Oh, I should have done that. Get over here. Get out. It reeks of corruption. And my only input on that is I don't know what the impact is going to be, because I don't know how many people listen to radio or those television stations. But and the time frame within which how much damage can be done between that acquisition and the election. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens afterwards. Okay, people, we're going to go over to vivabarneslaw.locals.com right in a second when I give this over here. Did I miss anything here? Link. Let's go over to live on YouTube. And link. Okay, there you go. Now I'm going to end the stream everywhere, people. It's going to give us 30 seconds. Come on over to Locals if you want to. If not, I will see you tomorrow night during our 6 o'clock Viva and Barnes Law Extravaganza at 6 o'clock with Barnes Extravaganza.